rehabilitated, and real entertaining. This is the Carl Jackson Podcast.
Welcome to the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Guys, I'm going to take you all the way back to 2012. The Democrat Party has a we hate white working class voters dilemma, and it's putting them in danger when it comes to the 2024 presidential election. I do believe this is a point of contention in which Trump or another Republican nominee can win 2024. This hate for white working class voters is catching up to the Democrat Party. I'm going to explain where it originated from, how it came from Barack Obama's 2012 campaign, and it helped them then. Believe it or not, it was a big no-no. People thought this was a bad strategy to abandon the white working class in 2012. It worked for Obama in 2012. However, I think it's going to hurt Democrats in 2024. That's what we're going to be talking about next on the Carl Jackson Show podcast. All right, welcome to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. This is your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Here's what I want you to understand. Okay, Obama won the 2008 election because he was black. Let's just be frank. He was black. People wanted to prove they weren't racist. Some Democrats, some Republicans even wanted to prove they weren't racist. They voted for the black guy. As Obama said, as Joe Biden said, he was clean, articulate, all of that kind of good stuff. Man, Gabe, I should have had you get that one. He's clean, articulate, all that kind of stuff. However, in 2010, the bloom was off the rose, so to speak. All right. By 2010, people realized that Obama was nothing more than an affirmative action president. He was not a good president. Yes, he inherited, if you will, a recovering economy from George W. Bush. Believe it or not, he inherited a recovering economy. There was a recession, but by the summer of 2009, Joe Biden and Barack Obama were calling it the recovery summer. Go back and watch old tapes and video if Google, YouTube, same company, if they allow you to find them. It was the recovery summer of 2009. The recession was over, but Barack Obama continued to spend money. So go back and watch, try to look for those videos. All right. So in 2010, the bloom was off the rose. You had the surgence of the Tea Party by that time because Barack Obama was spending money like crazy, like it was going out of style. Remember, even after the economy started to, even when we started to regain our footing as far as the economy was concerned, Obama did cash for clunkers. He did all this kind of stuff. He did another stimulus package, spending even more money. He did exactly what Joe Biden did with the American Rescue Plan last year. Biden inherited a recovering economy, and he made it worse by spending way too much money. He and the Democrats did. That's the exact same thing that Barack Obama did. So in 2008, when he won, I mean, the guy controlled everything, House, Senate, you name it. 2010, the Democrats lost big time because they realized this black president, the first black president, was actually horrible. He didn't know what he was doing, except that he was a social justice warrior dividing us. But 2012, he developed a strategy. And I'm going to tie all of this stuff together. I'm going to tie the train derailment in Palestine, Ohio together, open borders, the swing states that Republicans must win, the rising crime, even the firing of the Attorney General Kim Gardner in St. Louis, Missouri. All of this stuff is tied together. And I think we can trace it all back to Barack Obama's campaign in 2012. I mean, this hit me this morning like a ton of bricks. So hopefully I will do a good job of tying this together. Before I go any further, though, I do want to remind you to please subscribe to the podcast anywhere where you get your podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get it right in your inbox if you do. And that'll help us grow. If you spread the word, I mean, if you rate, review it, spread the word, that'll help us grow. We certainly do appreciate that. Also, wherever you are on social media, well, you can find me wherever I am. I'm sorry, on social media, The Carl Jackson Show. That's whether it's Instagram, Twitter, True Social, Getter, Facebook, you name it. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find me. And don't forget my sponsors. My Pillow is out with a new pillow, My Pillow 2.0. As a matter of fact, it is a great pillow. You'll love it. I absolutely love it. You'll get there's a buy one, get one free offer exclusively for my listeners. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener square at the top of the page, enter the promo code Carl, and you'll get 2 My Pillows. Buy one, get one free. All right. So right now, Mike invented the My Pillow. It had everything you could ever want in a pillow. But now, nearly 20 years later, he discovered a new technology that makes it even better. The My Pillow 2.0 has the patented adjusted feel of the original My Pillow, but it has a brand new fabric that is made with a temperature regulating thread. The My Pillow 2.0, it's the softest, it's the smoothest, it's the coolest pillow you'll ever own. Guys, I can say that in all honesty. I've slept on the pillow now for I think over a week. I absolutely love it. I did not think I would like it better than the first My Pillow. I do. So Mike Lindell has outdone himself. And besides that, listen, American jobs, American manufacturing, a good night's rest, and not only My Pillow 2.0. Go to mypillow.com. Whatever you want to purchase there, use my name, Carl, and there is a plethora of deals that are available to you, some up to 70% off. All right, so mypillow.com, use my name, or give them a call if you prefer, 800-858-0263. 800-858-0263. You can use my name there too, and the deals will be available to you. Also, guys, listen, there's no doubt that we are entering into bad financial times, more car repossessions, fewer people buying homes. Inflation is still not under control. The Federal Reserve continues to hike interest rates. Be prepared just in case. I even got a story here. I'm not going to get to it today. I intended to, but this stuff with Obama hit me. I wanted to tie all of this stuff together. But there's more physical attacks on our power grid last year. They were up by 71%. Over 20 compared to 2021. So I'll get into that story a little bit on Monday. We'll talk about that some. So make sure you tune in on Monday where I'll detail some of that information. But guys, you just want to be prepared. All right. Go to 4patriots.com right now. If you go to 4Patriots, that is the number 4. All right. The number 4patriots.com. Use the promo code Carl. You'll get 10% off your first purchase. This includes a 3-month survival kit. You'll get a year-long guarantee plus free shipping on any orders that are over $97. They're called 4patriots.com for a reason. A portion of every sale goes to help out charities that help out veterans and their families. The number 4patriots.com. Number 4patriots.com. The food lasts for 25 years. It stacks easily. All right. It's sturdy. It's water resistant. In just 20 minutes. All you have to do is add some boiling water. 20 minutes, you're ready to go. All you do is simmer and serve, and it comes with breakfast meals, lunches, and dinners. All right. So the number 4patriots.com. Guys, just prepared. God forbid there's a natural disaster or something even worse with all of the foreign policy blunders we see Biden getting us into. Just be prepared. All right. Make sure your family is prepared. 4patriots.com. We really do would appreciate it. Use our name, use my name, and it'll help you. It'll help us, to be frank. Okay. So now I'm going to use Jackson's 5, and I'm going to bring all of this stuff in together. We've got some video of, Savannah Hernandez doing some great work capturing Pete Booty out yesterday at Palestine, Ohio. We'll get into that video, a couple videos that we'll run shortly. We also have the forewoman and the grand jury for Donald Trump and other people that's in Georgia. We'll have some audio and video from her. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Carl Jackson Show. All right, The Carl Jackson Show on YouTube. The same is true for Rumble for those of you that prefer Rumble. But youtube.com is where you can find the show. Subscribe to the show. All right, but all of these things are related. Obama's 2012 campaign, our open border crisis right now, the swing states that need to be won by the GOP, the Palestine, Ohio train derailment. Carl, how is that tied together? I promise you, I will let you know. I'll tie it up. The skyrocketing crime. All right. As a result of skyrocketing crime, thank God, Kim Gardner is now fired. More of these George Soros appointees have to go. But let me take this back to Obama. All right, let me take this back to Obama. First off, again, just a reminder, Obama won in 2008, first black president. People, even though he's biracial, but people wanted to say, we're not racist. He was clean, sounded very smart, sounded like he was going to unite a lot of people. People were tired of racism. They thought he'd come in and just manage everything, if nothing else, right? People were tired of George W. Bush by that period of time. George W. Bush did not fight back against the media that was calling him everything from a racist to a warmonger. Guy never said anything, and he thought he was doing us a service. I'm sorry, he was not. I know it was based out of decency, but it was ineffective politically, and it did far more damage than good because he never stood up for himself, and that allowed the media to just keep attacking him and attacking us, essentially. By 2010, again, the bloom was off the rose. Everybody realized that Obama was a crappy president. And by most people thought that Obama would go down in flames in 2012. Unfortunately, Mitt Romney was the nominee, and he shocked us all, right? He shocked us all by performing very well in the first debate against Barack Obama. Second debate, he did okay. Third debate, he totally let Barack Obama win it because he was afraid of being called a racist or something like that. And he lost the election. One of the dumbest moves ever in political history. All right. So now I just had to vent a little bit, but let's go back to 2012. What happened in 2012? What happened in 2012? In 2012, Obama's campaign, for the first time, Democrat campaign, decided to abandon white blue-collar workers. You guys might recall this. They decided to abandon white blue-collar workers. And then Dems have been losing blue-collar workers for probably a couple to a few decades at that point. The Gingrich Revolution, all that kind of stuff occurred. And then 2010 occurred again with the Tea Party, all of the spending that was going on. And we just wanted to stop the spending. I was a part of that movement, not a leader per se, but I participated in events here locally in the Central Florida area. But so what did Barack Obama decide to do? This is where I think wokeness, this is where cultural Marxism, in my opinion, skyrocketed. It was based on this one decision by the Obama campaign. That's why when people say that Obama wasn't a great president, he wasn't, as far as he wasn't, as far as American patriots were concerned. As far as radical leftists were concerned, as far as progressives were concerned, Barack Obama laid a foundation that I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for. He gets to get the credit for destroying the United States of America, in my opinion, more than anyone since FDR. All right. And so he decided to do something different. So he abandons white working class voters, a staple of the Democrat Party. He goes intentionally after poor blacks. He goes after poor Latinos, and he does something different. He decides that he wants to focus on white educated professionals. Carl, why is this significant? This is significant when you think about it, because this is what started, in my opinion, the real wokeness that was infiltrated inside of the federal government, inside of corporate America, and also expanded on college campuses. So I think that is the reason you see the intense wokeness that you see today. This is a quote from Thomas B. Edsall, the New York Times, back in 2011. Yeah, November 28, 2011. Or at least in 2011. This column was written by the Daily Mail. All pretense of trying to win a majority of the white working class has been effectively jettisoned in favor of cementing a center-left coalition made up, on the one hand, of voters who have gotten ahead on the basis of educational attainment, and a second substantial constituency of lower-income voters who are disproportionately African-American and Hispanic. All right, so here's what I think happened in 2012. When I spoke of the white people, I think wokeness grew big time. When I speak of black and Latinos, something different happened for the two. All right, it didn't work for Latinos, it worked for blacks. I think blacks grew Sadly, the black community, many youngsters in the black community grew more restless as a result of Barack Obama, grew more violent as a result of Barack Obama. Why? Because instead of healing and uniting us, he divided us. He told blacks, once again, despite the fact that he was the first black guy to ascend to the White House, that they were victims. And blacks took that on big time. Instead of looking at him and saying, I can achieve what you achieved, Barack Obama, he told blacks, no, you're still victims. You're still victims. And he had to do that in 2012 in order to win. So what Obama did was he actually turned his base against one another. He turned black Democrat voters and Latino Democrat voters against some of his former white Democrat voters instead of trying to win them back by not focusing on progressive ideas, but by focusing on creating American jobs. And so he decided to pit the minorities against the whites. And I tell you that I contend that is why we see a lot of the pain that we see in America today. It's because of Barack Obama. Now, the campaign didn't announce overtly that, hey, sayonara, white people. However, strategists point to it as the likely path of the president's victory, given demographic data from previous elections. So Obama realized that the only way that he could win was to paint blacks as victims, paint Latinos as victims, appeal to the white working educated people that he spoke with, that he hung around with on college campuses. He had to appeal to them, but he had to abandon somebody. He had to create an enemy. Who was that? The white working class American. That was the only way that he could win. And it worked. So Democrats had relied on the white working class ever since FDR. Bill Clinton, as a matter of fact, his strategy was winning the white industrial workers. That's what he had to do. Totally changed his campaign, his second election campaign around Dick Morris, triangulating and so on, et cetera. There's a gentleman by the name, a Latino guy by the name of, I believe it's pronounced Rui or Rai Tessera. I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, he was a strategist at the Liberal Center for American Progress. I think he also helped out Obama on his campaign, but he was one that told Barack Obama, okay, if you're going to abandon these people, you need to go after Latinos and blacks. So Rui Tessera, a strategist at the Liberal Center for American Progress, he wrote this in 1995, that if President Clinton couldn't win white blue-collar workers, his reelection bid would be doomed. All right, so that's speaking about Clinton. But and then fast forward 15 years later to Barack Obama's 2012 campaign, and Tessera made an about face. And I'm going to fill you in on some new stuff that Tessera is saying. And the guy's just real. He is a great, when it comes to people on the left, this is one of the guys that I will read whenever I get an opportunity to read. He is on the left, all right, but he is very smart. He's very honest. All right, fast forward 15 years and Tessera has made an about face. The Republican Party has become the party of the white working class. This is what he told the New York Times. All right, so he realized that after the Tea Party movement, more Democrats started voting for Republicans. They wanted to secure their jobs. You know, Obama was trying to ship jobs away, all this kind of stuff, spending so much money, inflation going crazy, all this stuff, right? However, he warns Tessera, that is, that losing whites without college degrees altogether would be disastrous, he said. There simply are not enough college educated whites, he said, Hispanics and blacks who will make a Democratic majority. This is also the reason why Democrats press for college. I don't care if you're dumb as a box of rocks. They want you to go to college. Why? Because they want to brainwash you, not because they want to see you succeed per se, although you might, right? If you have the initiative to go to college, you probably will, even though there's a lot of people that don't belong in college, but that's a subject for another day. But what happens is Democrats can brainwash you there. All right. So I'm telling you, Barack Obama is so instrumental in what's going on today. So Obama can still get away with losing white Americans by 17%. This was back in 2012. This is what Tessetta was saying, or 2011. Senator John Kerry, he said, did in his 2004 defeat against President George W. Bush. He says the new coalition President Obama is putting together potentially relies less on middle Americans than either Senator Kerry or Al Gore in 2000, Instead, as two Democratic strategists laid out in 11, I got to remind you, this is a 2011 column that I'm going through. Obama is putting instead, as two Democratic strategists lay out, the president's 2012 reelection campaign will likely rely on winning, listen to this, young people, Hispanics, unmarried women, single women, in affluent suburbanites. All right, so suburbanites tend to be swing voters. All right, so keep that in mind because I'll come back to that. This means President Obama is leaving aside industrial states like Ohio. He left behind Indiana, both of which he won in 2008, but he couldn't win again in 2012. Instead, he started courting states like North Carolina, Virginia, New Hampshire, and Colorado. This is very important stuff. All of these states have large populations of well-educated, white-collar, white professionals. States like Ohio, Indiana, which Obama claimed in 2008, are likely out of the question in 2012. This was according to strategists. So he had to develop a new strategy. That new strategy, and I'm going to tell you how it plays into everything that is happening today. All right. That new strategy was to keep blacks mad and feel entitled, despite the fact that they were watching a black man that had achieved the pinnacle of success in the United States, becoming the president of the United States. In order to win, that couldn't matter. He had to convince blacks that they were still down, that they were still victims, that he wanted to do the same with Latinos. The problem with Latinos, and I told you I would tell you about Rui Tessetta, forgive me. I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly. I'll have to have him on one day. All right, but here's what happened with Rui Tessetta. He warned in 2020, as well as 2022, that Democrats could lose their elections. Why? Because they had gone too far left. And he admitted that he was wrong about joining the Latino vote with the black vote, because Latinos stuck to their faith. There were lines that they would not cross morally. Unfortunately, the same was not true for blacks. Barack Obama was able to, a lot of blacks disagreed with the LGBTQ movement prior to Obama, even during Obama's first couple of years. But once Obama shifted, once he realized he needed to win a new type of constituency, blacks went right along with him. A lot of Latinos did not. And then Trump was able to win Latinos. Trump was able to win white working class voters. And this is why this train derailment all makes sense. I mean, this is why they are panicking over this train derailment. We'll get into some video in just a second here. This is why we have open borders. Why do we have open borders? Because Democrats miscalculated. It isn't just, or why do they need them? It isn't just like it was before. Okay, these people come into the United States, some illegally, the so-called dreamers, whatever. Their parents came in and they want to give them blanket amnesty. But now they need Latino voters because more of the white working class is turning against the Democrat Party. They've not been able to recapture them. Trump captured some or many actually in 2016. That's why they can't stand him. It isn't just because of his policies. It's because he siphoned off their base that they gave up, but they, I guess at some point in time thought they would be able to get back. I don't know. But it did not work for them. Trump took them. He also took some blacks. He took some Latinos. That's why they hate this guy. So they need open borders because they have to replace the voters that they lost. Now, I want to take you to Pete Booty. Pete Booty finally, and this is part of Jackson's 5. Actually, let me just go through Jackson's 5 and I'll circle back. Oh, let me share this. Let me share this first. Again, today's show is brought to you by mypillow.com. mypillow.com. Use the promo code Carl. Take advantage of that deal. Buy one, get one free on the 2.0 MyPillows, mypillow.com. Also, you could give them a call, 800-858-0263. Also, don't forget my sponsor, 4Patriots, the number 4Patriots.com. For your first purchase, you enter my name at the number 4Patriots.com. You'll get 10% off of your first order. Purchases that are $97 and above, you'll get free shipping. You got a year-long guarantee on survival kits, 3-month survival kits as well. So purchases over $97. All right. So 4Patriots.com. Now, I want to go to, actually, before I go to Pete Booty, because Gabe is waiting here, 6 states that will determine the presidency. I told you all of this stuff ties in together. Open borders, swing states. What has to happen in swing states now determine the election for the most part, all right? Ballots in swing states, or I should say that. But these are the states that are going to determine the presidency. This is what either Trump or whomever the nominee is going to be for the Republican Party. Arizona, these are the states that are going to be the most important. I shouldn't say the most important. All of our states are important, right? But these are the states that the real fight is going to go down in. These are the swing states, all right? Now, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. Who started those trends? Barack Obama. Barack Obama. These are the swing states now. These are the swing states now. Suburban voters tend to be swing voters. Urban voters tend to be Democrat voters. Rural voters overwhelmingly vote for Republicans. All right? They overwhelmingly vote for Republicans. The problem with what's happening in Palestine, Ohio, and why this is such a huge story that isn't going away, and why the Biden administration, Joy Reid, all the left-wing radicals, The View on national TV, why they're panicking is because this story represents more than just Palestine, Ohio. This story represents the white working class voter that Democrats threw away, that they need to win, that are looking at this story and might be motivated to not just vote, but particularly to get their neighbors out to vote. This is a very bad story for the Democrat Party. Not to mention, we showed you the video yesterday. Trump comes into town and Trump looks like he buys food for these people. He cares for these people. He gives a loving speech for these people. He loves Americans of all stripes. And he shows why he was able to capture those middle class white working voters in 2016. And the left is freaking panicked. Now, let me take you to Savannah Hernandez from TPUSA, who has been doing some fabulous work on the ground in Palestine, Ohio. And she catches Pete Booty off guard. Here it is, Savannah Hernandez capturing Pete Booty.
What do you say to residents who say you're too little too late?
I say that we're with residents right now.
Mr. Secretary,
we're going to be here before, as we were in the first hours.
Why did it take you 3 weeks then,
Can I
Buttigieg?
finish my answer to the first?
Well, we're saying it's too little too late because it took you 3 weeks to get here, and then you use the
I'm
excuse
answering the
that
question
it was,
that was
there's
just
1,000
asked.
train derailments in the USA every single year. Is that okay to you as the Department
So I can't tell
of
what the question, I can't tell what the question
Transportation
is, but
Secretary?
I'm on my way to answer a lot
The
of the
question
questions
is, do you
from
think that you've done a
reporters
good
right
job as the, Secretary?
Before he answers, Gabe, let me pause for just a sec. He's getting ready to answer here. And I grant him this. Savannah Hernandez, because he hasn't been around to answer questions, she was like, bam, 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 bam. And I concede, maybe let him answer a little bit the first question before you get the second one out. Got it. But she brings it around. She captures them. She does a great job. She asked all of the right questions, in my opinion. Notice his condescending attitude. This guy is just not likable. I can remember I can remember in, what was it? Good Lord. 2020, 2019, 2020, leading up to the presidency. I was like, man, this guy is smooth. He's really smart. He's gonna, he could ascend. He might be able to win the presidency. If nothing else, he will probably be. I thought he might be not Barack Obama's, Biden's VP. Because he was really smooth. And then you started finding out that he was called Pothole Pete because he was a crappy mayor. And I believe it was South Bend, Indiana. The guy just was a horrible mayor. All right. The same is true. He's a horrible transportation secretary, but he also seems to be a horrible person. Condescending. Everything is about equity. Nothing is about caring for the people. And all of this stuff is starting to bite them in the butt. All right. So let's go back to Pete Buttigieg in Palestine, Ohio.
Have done here from day one, from the first minutes, or at least the first hours of this response. What I'm really proud of is the community that I saw here. You've
from
got
day one, 3 weeks later.
You've got local first responders, you got states, but most of all, you got a community that's been through a lot that I think is pretty frustrated with people trying to take political advantage of this situation. And my focus is going to be to make sure that our freight rail system gets safer. And anybody who wants to take political advantage of this, I'm calling them to the table to find out whether they are for
How are
or
you going
against.
to fix that, though?
Well, I would start by referring you to the whole plan that we put out the other day, and I'll be speaking more about this with
very quickly?
You can find it all online. Yeah, sure. Work with Congress to raise the fines, the caps on fines. Our own work on things like focused inspections and the two-person crew rule, and another thing that railroad companies don't have to wait on us to require them to do, which is getting better information to local communities.
Mr. Secretary, would you still
Again,
be here
I want to
if
get to
President
this,
Trump wasn't here yesterday?
Yeah, the timing of my visit is based on trying to be here with the community, but also trying to not be in the way of NTSB. Maybe I got that timing right, maybe not. But the most important thing for me right now is that doesn't wind up allowing people to change the subject and block needed rail regulation.
And
Again, I'm on my way to the media availability,
do you think it was
but
a mistake for
appreciate
Biden to go
Can
to
you
Ukraine
ask
before
Biden
coming?
Okay, so what a fake and a fraud, right? The guy didn't even mention this derailment until I think it was a week to 10 days later. He only came because the pressure was mounting. They were looking really, really bad is what was happening. And so that's when they came. That's when the pressure was mounting. They had no choice but to go there. You had Biden in Ukraine, also in Warsaw, Poland, giving a speech, looking like he's wanting to get us into World War III. And then everybody's like, okay, he's in Ukraine. Why isn't he right here in Palestine, Ohio? And it was looking really bad for the president. It was looking really bad for Pete Buttigieg, who's done a horrible job. I mean, from the shipping crisis to the planes, breast milk crisis, shortage, all this kind of stuff. Not breast milk shortage, but the baby formula shortage. He's just done a horrible job. All right, so they had to respond to this. Let's go ahead and let's roll with the next video. If this is the video that I think it is, this is Pete Buttigieg's press secretary basically telling Savannah Hernandez to get the camera out of her face, a public official. All right, let's roll the tape here, Gabe.
Mayor Pete, why did it take you an entire 2.5 weeks to actually get here to respond to East Palestine? Will you apologize to the residents of this city for the slow response, to the government's slow response? Do you have any apology?
I'm a press person. I can help you.
Sure. So can we ask why it took him almost 3 weeks to get here?
I'm sorry, I don't want to do this on camera.
What was his personal time off while there was a tragedy happening here?
And can we also ask too why he waited until President Donald Trump came here to actually make an appearance? This is a very important question that people across America would like to know.
I'm happy to have a conversation with you. I do not want to be on camera.
Well,
please put your cameras away.
I'm sorry, we're on a public area, so we are allowed as press.
You guys, I would like you guys to turn your cameras off.
You're not on my camera.
Well, I'm on a camera. I would like your cameras to be off, and then I'm happy to talk to you guys.
Well, if you're the press secretary of the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, don't you think you should be able to ask questions from the American public that you serve?
Absolutely. I would like to do it without the camera on.
Can I ask why?
I think that is a little bit aggressive. That's why. And
why is it aggressive? On behalf of the American people, I'm just asking why he has not been here until Donald Trump came.
She's asked several times for them to turn the cameras off, and they will not do it.
been able to walk away. Would you like to go inside?
I do not. I will walk this way.
Can I ask what the secretary is going to do with the picture of Jenny Kerr? He took her the other day when she was asking a question on Washington, D.C.
I'm happy to answer your questions. I would like you guys to not have your cameras on.
I had my camera open a minute ago. If I turn it off,
you all have your cameras on. I can see them. You guys, I'm happy to have this conversation.
All right, y'all. So we are with the press secretary for Pete Buttigieg, and right now we are being told that we are not supposed to be filming. Again, we are here on behalf of the American public because we would like to have the conversation and we would like to ask the question as to why, again, it took almost 3 weeks for Pete Buttigieg to be here on the ground. He waited until Donald Trump came here to actually be here and speak to residents. The people here have been quite tight-knit about when we can ask questions. And again, we're here on behalf of the American public, and we wish we could be able to ask these questions, but for some reason...
All right. Well, you get the point. You get the point. We can cut this video. All right. You get the point. The lady walks over. Obviously, the other lady agreed to go ahead and ask her a question that isn't on camera. I'd like to know what type of answers she got. I doubt that she got any answers worthwhile, frankly. But all of this stuff is tied up. I am telling you right now, the Democrat Party is scared as hell because they're looking at this. They've abandoned the white working class worker. What exemplifies the white working class worker more than Palestine, Ohio? It is like the what is the word? The stereotypical white working class community, right? And now everybody is seeing Buttigieg's incompetence. Everyone is seeing Biden's incompetence, and they're seeing overwhelmingly, they're able to compare and contrast Biden's concern for Ukraine. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be some concern for Ukraine, but there seems to be no concern for what's happening in America, particularly crises in America, and specifically this one that happened with the train derailment. I'm telling you all of this stuff. The open borders, Obama's 2012 campaign, the swing states, the train derailment, all of this stuff is combined. This is the reason why they have to go after Donald Trump. I got this other video that I want to set up real quick. Let me do some work here with my formerly fingerprinted fingertips. I just want to real quickly make sure that I get this story right. Oh, good Lord, where is it? Forgive me, guys. Give me just a second. Okay, I'm just about there. All right, so here it is. Emily Kors is her name. She's the foreperson of the special grand jury that was conducted or formed in Fulton County. She went on a media tour, giving interviews to NBC News, the New York Times, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, other news outlets as well, all of them left-leaning, by the way. She's apparently enjoying her moment in the spotlight. This, according to MSNBC, she revealed the names of witnesses who testified. Now, what she isn't allowed to do as part of this special grand jury, she isn't allowed to give any hints, any information when it comes to, jury deliberation inside of that courtroom or wherever they go to deliberate together. So whatever the jurists discuss together, she is not allowed to talk about. If a bailiff, if an attorney, if the judge comes in and gives them instructions, they can talk about that all day long, but they can't talk about any deliberation. Deliberation being defined as conversation between jury person to jury person to come up with whatever decision they come up with. And that's what she was doing. Let's go ahead and play. This is Alex Wagner on MSNBC tonight. And Emily Kors shows up on there. There's been some other video as well, but this makes the point. Let's go ahead and roll the tape, Gabe.
Starting in the state of Georgia. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has yet to say whether or not she will seek indictments in her sprawling criminal investigation into former President Donald Trump and his allies' efforts to subvert the 2020 election. But today, one of the grand jurors in that, Emily Kors, the jury's forewoman, she is speaking out. NBC News' Blaine Alexander sat down with Kors earlier this afternoon for her first television interview, and she dropped a whole lot of hints.
Did the grand jury recommend indictments of multiple people?
Yes. I will tell you, it's not a short list. I mean, we saw 75 people, and there are 6 pages of the report cut out.
So we're talking about more than a dozen people?
I would say that, yes.
Are these recognizable names that people would know?
There are certainly names that you would recognize, yes. There definitely are some names that you expect.
The grand jury forewoman telling NBC Today that the Georgia panel recommended that over a dozen people be indicted. A dozen is a lot. And on the one question that we are all wondering about, did the special grand jury recommend an indictment against the former president? Take a listen.
Hold on. Okay, you heard, did the special grand jury recommend an indictment against the former president? This chick is now talking about deliberations. That is against the rules or against the law. This is a big no-no. Here she is again, Emily Kors.
Did the grand jury recommend an indictment of former President Trump?
I'm not going to speak on exact indictments.
Would we be surprised? Are there bombshells of who is being recommended for indictment?
I don't think that there are any giant plot twists coming. I don't think that there are any, giant, that's not the way I expected this to go at all. I don't think that's in store for anyone.
So nothing that would surprise people who have been following this?
Probably not. I wouldn't want to characterize anyone else's reaction, of course, but so that was when we heard a lot in testimony. But probably not. It probably wouldn't shock you. I would not expect you to be too shocked, no.
And that includes of the former president, potentially?
Potentially. It might.
It's hard to parse that one out.
All right, we can cut it there. Listen, guys, this is a political hack job. This is all tied back into what the left is scared of is that what Trump was able to achieve, besides a great economy, a booming economy, so on, etc., he was able to siphon off voters from the Democrats. He was able to siphon off blacks. He was able to siphon off Latinos. Again, Roy Tessetta said this is where he screwed up. He thought that Democrats would be able to siphon off the Latino vote. And he thought that basically the Latino vote would be the Democrat Party's gravy ticket to win elections for, literally years and decades to come. But he was wrong because Democrats went too far left and Latinos were like, wait a minute. We're about faith. We're about family. We're about freedom. You fools are talking about socialism and communism and embracing all this crap. These are the areas of the world that we left, our ancestors left. We don't want that crap. And that's the trouble that the Democrat parties are having with the Latinos. And the problem that they're having with the white working class voters is they simply don't represent them. They gave up on them. They don't represent their values. They don't represent the working class American values anymore. And it's biting them in the butt. And now you get this illustration of this stereotypical white working class town in Palestine, Ohio, where Democrats are like, oh crap, this looks really bad because all we've been talking about is equity and all this kind of crap that we're, destroying our institutions with. And now it's really clear that we hate white working class voters. And now these other white working class voters in swing states like Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia are probably paying attention to this story in Palestine, Ohio. And they're saying, we're not going to vote for Democrats anymore because they hate white working class voters. All of this stuff is tied together, guys. All of this stuff is tied together. Just real quick, as I get ready to close this show out, I want to bring you some good news. Missouri AG fires Soros-backed St. Louis prosecutor Gardner for missteps. Oh, I love this story. Missouri Republican AG Andrew Bailey on Thursday fired St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner for missteps after she refused to accept his ultimatum to resign by noon. Guys, what did you notice, too, in Fulton County in Georgia? Black chick, right? Black chick. All of these black female prosecutors that are far left, George Soros, no doubt, helped them get elected, poured money into these races. They're going after Trump. They're causing chaos wherever they are, including right here in Orlando, Florida. There's one social justice warrior. It's probably the reason why the shooting occurred the other day, where this 19-year-old killed I believe a 20-year-old woman, a 9-year-old girl, murdered a Spectrum News 13 reporter just randomly. The guy had a rap sheet the size of Texas, all right, at 19 years old, but was able to get out of jail, walk out free because we got this woke little freaking district attorney or whatever right here in Orlando. So all of this stuff is happening, but this is good news. People are getting fed up. Republicans are getting courageous. So the Missouri Republican AG, Andrew Bailey, on Thursday fired St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner. The reason being, he issued his ultimatum Wednesday evening after a 16-year-old volleyball player, a girl by the name of Janae Edmondson, was visiting St. Louis with her team over the weekend when she was hit by a speeding vehicle and she lost both of her legs. He fired Gardner by initiating what's called a quo warranto proceedings to remove Gardner after she failed to meet his deadline. The writ requires people to whom it is directed to show what authority they have for exercising some right, power of franchise they claim to hold. The driver in the weekend accident, Daniel Riley, quote, he said, this is Bailey, is a dangerous gunman who should have been in jail. The suspect was charged in 2020 in connection to stealing a firearm at gunpoint. And since that time, since 2020, listen to this, since 2020, all right, the suspect was charged in 2020 in connection to stealing a firearm at gunpoint. And since that time, he has violated his bond conditions more than 100 times. And he never even had a driver's license. That's because of Kim Gardner's policies. So adios, Kim Gardner. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. And don't be scared to talk about this stuff, conservatives, Republicans, constitutionalists, just because these women are black. George Soros is using black women because he knows a lot of whites will be scared to call them out for their performance. Obama screwed up, right? People realized that the guy was crap as a president. All right. They called him on his bluff. Like the meritocracy thing just wasn't there. It was total, affirmative action, basically. All right. They caught him. So that's very, very, very important for you to understand. So that's a very important story. And why is that an important story as well? Let me just tie this last thing together here. Make sure I covered everything. Yeah. Let me tie this last thing together. And stories like that are important. This Kim Gardner story. Why is that important? It goes all the way back to Barack Obama. Barack Obama telling black people that they're victims. Instead of more black people becoming part of working class America, realizing and understanding that if you work hard, develop a trade, a skill, you graduate high school, get a job, get married, and then have kids, you can live a good middle class life in a civilized society. But instead, what do we have? And I think this goes back to Obama when he again made black people victims. Now we have the 10 most crime-ridden cities in the United States of America are all run by Democrats, and most of them have an overwhelming amount of black criminals. Memphis, Portland, a lot of whites and drugs. New York City, Philadelphia, Seattle, Washington, D.C. I can give specificities. Perhaps I'll go into that next week. San Francisco, Los Angeles, Austin, Texas is another one that's gone like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And obviously Chicago. All of these cities run by Democrats. All of them, perhaps with the exceptions of Seattle and Portland, overwhelmingly with a lot of black on black crime. All of this stuff exists. All of this stuff is connected, guys. Listen, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. Por favor, find us on YouTube, subscribe there, rate and review us. We would really appreciate it. We would really appreciate a follow on social media. All right, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, True Social, Getter, wherever you find us on social media, The Carl Jackson Show. Don't forget about our sponsors, It helps us to continue with this podcast. So if you will, go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Carl. All right. At the top of the page, click on the radio listener square. Use that promo code Carl. You'll get the buy one, get one free MyPillow 2.0 offer. I promise you, you will love the pillow. Not lying to you. I sleep with it every night. I absolutely love it. But also, you can browse the website. You can again browse the website. Use my name. Plenty of deals available for my listeners exclusively. Or if you prefer, give them a call, 800-858-0263. 800-858-0263. Don't forget, times are getting crazy. aforepatriots.com. Make sure you stock up on your survival food kit. 25-year supply of food. The food is ready in 20 minutes. All you do is add boiling water, simmer, and serve. They have breakfast meals. They have lunch. They have dinner. And if you go to aforepatriots.com right now and you purchase for the first time, you'll get 10% off of that first purchase by using my name. All right, Carl. Also included is a 3-month survival kit. You'll get a year-long guarantee plus free shipping on orders that are over $97. They're called the number 4 Patriots, aforepatriots.com for a reason. A portion of every sale goes out to help charities that help out veterans and their families. Go to aforepatriots.com. Use the promo code Carl. Again, 10% off of your first purchase. Guys, make sure that your family is ready in case of an emergency. aforepatriots.com. All right, until next time, do not grow weary doing good. God bless you.